our spoiler review for It Follows. If you guys have not seen our review, check it. It's in the link down below. So make sure you watch the film and then come back here so you can talk about this really, really good horror film.
The ending, which was sort of ambiguous, and like it went to black, and I was like, remember we even looked at each other like, wait, like.
Yeah, I was expecting something to happen.
Yeah.
At the very end.
The more I thought about it, even coming home and sitting here, and like I'm not even gonna I checked some stuff online to see what other people were saying, and I like the ending. Well, one I'll take credit for because I sort of thought of it, but then there's another really good point that I saw somebody make, and I'll get to that one. It made me sort of think like the things leading up to the ending, where we see Paul. You see
when
him
see him driving by like those prostitutes.
Yeah.
In the, like
they never show you in the movie, obviously, like what he does. Like if he has sex with them to pass the demon on to them, or if he doesn't. And I think looking at it, I don't think he did, because the more I thought about it, they sort of come to the realization that they can't escape it.
No, because you're at the whole time. I mean, you're just like, fuck, you can't even live your fucking life.
Because especially like if you were to pass it on to somebody and they don't know that this thing is gonna be after them, they're gonna die anyway. So it's gonna come back to them regardless. You know what I mean? So he could have had sex with one of these prostitutes, passed this thing along to her, but they don't know that this thing's gonna be chasing them, so they're gonna probably die anyway. The other point, which I did read in one of the comments on a BuzzFeed article, they talked with David Robert Mitchell. They asked him what would be ways to escape the it or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So they just came up with like wacky sort of theories, like, you know, what if you go into space, or what if you fly to another country, or, you know, like there's these ways to escape it. I think it's the top comment on that article. There was a guy that the way he interpreted the ending I thought was really good, was that he said, you remember earlier in the movie Paul is talking to Jay, and he asks her, you know, why did you sleep with Greg?
More and more we delve into the film is that, well, I mean, we find out that Paul always liked Jay. It got to him knowing that she decided to sleep with Greg instead of him, and we find out that they've been friends since they were children. I mean, you can tell he really likes her, so it kind of made him, I know, like what you're saying, that he confronted her about it, like, why him, you know, why not me?
Yeah. And she told him, because I thought he'd be all right. Is that what she said? Something along those lines. I thought he'd be okay, or I thought he'd be all right, meaning that because the way I took it was because he was sort of the older one and he drove him around and kind of protected them, that she thought, well, maybe if anybody can take this thing on, it would be him, which eventually, you know, we see he gets killed by this being. So that didn't work out so great. So back to what this guy in the comments on the BuzzFeed article said. He said, okay, like, so obviously these kids come to the realization, like, look, like we're not gonna escape this thing, you know, like because also the other thing is when she swims up to that boat, remember, with those guys on there, I'm assuming that she probably boned all of them, right?
All three of them?
Probably. You don't see that either.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you just see her, like, she starts swimming towards the boat, and the next scene, I forgot where it cuts to.
She's driving back home.
Yeah, so you don't see what happens in between those two scenes.
Yeah, so you could sort of take it that, okay, she tries sleeping with them, but, you know, I think they sort of come to the realization that they're not going to escape this thing. So what this guy said in his comment was, okay, look, like if I put myself in that situation, if I know that, like, look, like I'm not going to escape this thing, I'd want to pass it along to somebody that I could trust more than anybody. And so so I think they built up Paul, like, he's kind of like the side guy. He's like there for her. Jay realizes, okay, like, you know, this guy is closest to me, and if I'm gonna pass it along to anybody, it's gonna be him. The very last scene when you see them walking, holding hands, and you see that what we think it's it.
Yeah, which I mean,
following them down the street, it's like them sort of saying, okay, we're gonna confront this thing together.
Yeah.
Obviously, the movie cuts to black.
I did notice though. I mean, because he was wearing white. All the times that it comes out, it's wearing white, right? Or all white, or at least some white.
Except for the guy with his dong hanging out on the roof.
Yeah.
That was like the only one that wasn't wearing white.
Yeah, that was it. But I mean, all the other scenes we see him wearing white, and I mean, the final shot, I mean, it does leave the viewer. At least it leaves us with the image of it walking towards them as they walk away from it. You know, one thing that I did realize was that when she was in the hospital, and she had sex with, what's the fuck's his name?
Greg?
Yeah, when she was in the hospital and she had sex with Greg, she's in the hospital for at least a few days. They don't say exactly how many, but it's at least a few days. But the whole time that she's there, she didn't want to see it. They show like a quick shot of him at school with some girls.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he might have had sex with one of them, and that's why like he didn't see it in that whole time that she was in the hospital. But I mean, at least I'm assuming that he did that to one of the other girls. I think that's the reason why it didn't at least follow him the whole time, or at least didn't come back to her the whole time.
You know, it still leaves it open to interpretation, and you know, I mean, I'm sure there'll be other theories popping up. Actually, I didn't have enough time to think about that, like who that girl was, the one at the beginning of the movie.
Well, we assume that's a girl that.
Oh, maybe Hugh.
That Hugh had sex with.
Oh, maybe.
Because that's the first thing. That's the first time we see it. Then we see that she dies, the girl at the beginning, and then it starts following Hugh.
So we'll sort of get into some of the inconsistencies.
Like, these motherfuckers don't work and shit. I mean, we see them working at the.
Yeah, like, that I'm not so stuck on.
I don't know. That shit. I don't know. That shit always fucking bugged me because the whole time we see them together, and like.
There's a lot of movies like that though, because especially like you don't hardly see any adults. Like the cops are very like minimally involved in the movie. Like, yeah. I mean, you really only see them. The cops go back to the scene where.
That's another part that didn't make any fucking sense, man. Because they find out that Hugh gets killed, and then it's like the cops. Like, we know that she was in the house because it breaks in. Oh, that's when she.
No, not Hugh. Greg. Dick.
God damn it, man! I was gonna fucking mix up. Greg gets killed by it. Like Jay sees it walking towards his house, and she realizes that that's not him. It's it. Yeah. And it starts trying to open the door, and then it breaks in through the window. And we see her crawling through the window. I think there might have been at least some evidence that kind of linked her to being there at the time of death.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of weird because there's that one shot. We see the cop car in like their driveway.
Yeah.
But we never see.
But we never see like the cops question anybody. We never see them like sort of mourn for Greg. You know, if he really, well, I'm not if he really did die. I mean, he died. His mom boned him.
His mom banged him and then killed him. Or it took the form of his mom and banged him. Yeah, but it's weird because I mean, like I thought he was their friend, and it's like fuck. Like,
yeah, they never really sort of like mention it after he dies.
It's kind of fucked up. Like I really liked the movie, but that was one of the things. Like I don't know, it stuck with me throughout the whole time.
And then the other one was where she after she sees Greg get killed, then like it comes back out of the house, and you see her pull up in her she jumps in her car and takes off. And leaves it behind, and then so she like drives out to like in the middle of the woods, and then like sleeps on top of the car. If you know this fucking thing is chasing you, like why would you sleep on top of the?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like how far did she drive? Because but
it didn't matter where you drive. That thing's gonna follow you. It's never gonna leave you alone. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, but if you drive really far,
so she locks herself in her house, but she sleeps on top of a car.
No, bitch, I'm saying is like if you drive like bitch, drive from here to San Diego, the motherfucker ain't gonna catch up to you in one day. Like, that's what Hugh tells her. Remember, he tells her like what you do, you fucking get far away from it to get a head start. That way, at least give yourself some time.
We never see this thing run. So how does it cover all these miles? Like if you make it sound like if you're like he's tracking them in real time, like well let's drive 2 hours so we have like a 2 hour head start. But it always walks. We never see it run.
That's why, bitch. If you drive somewhere in 2 hours, it'll probably take.
Well, that isn't. I mean, look, I'm not trying to nitpick it and say, oh, it's supposed to be scientifically accurate. But I just look at it as like it's an entity, it's a being. Like you're not gonna escape it no matter where you go. It's like Jason or Michael Myers. Like everybody runs and runs, and these motherfuckers just like walk and they catch them up anyway. So I mean, I'm not trying to say, well, it's got to be scientifically accurate. I'm just more looking at it as like she's not gonna get away from this thing. Yeah. So like, why would you sleep on top of your car? Like you don't know when it's gonna come. It can come at any time.
Yeah, it come at any time.
So, they have like the showdown with this thing. They try to trap it in the pool, and they have like all the electrical appliances, to try to electrocute it in the pool. I mean, Paul ends up shooting. Well, actually, it's kind of cool because we don't see.
Oh, that's another shit that took me out of it. What? He fucking caps Yara. Was it Yara?
Yeah, he caps her on the leg.
Yeah, fucking shit. And that bitch. Sorry. And then she's at the hospital, and then she's like, fucking whatever. Like, well, I'm assuming she told him that she got caught a straight bullet.
Which, like, I knew. Yeah, it's Detroit. Everybody gets capped in Detroit. You see him like trying to aim for the thing, and like you see.
Yeah, but they're fucking.
You see her on the other side. I'm like, she's gonna get capped.
It's fucking stupid when they move. I guess they're not kids, man. They're old enough to fucking know. Hey, this motherfucker's pointing the gun in our direction. Let's get the hell out of the way. I think I'm just nitpicking now.
Yeah. The other thing what makes me want to go back and watch this again is like keeping track of like who all the it's are that Jay sees throughout the movie because the last form that we see it in is her father, which we never really get any sort of answers. Like, we don't know if he's
But we don't find
dead.
out it's her dad until after then, because then we said that picture in their house.
Yeah, you see the picture in her
that was
house
him.
afterwards. Because I was even wondering at first, I'm like, who is that? And then I sort of maybe figured it was the dad or somebody that was really close to them.
Yeah, because
then,
they ask her what does it look like? She's like,
and she doesn't want to say.
She says like, oh, I'd rather not say, or I don't want to say, or something like that. Like she doesn't want to say who it is.
We didn't have to get a whole backstory on what it is, like because to me, like you don't need to explain certain things, like. It doesn't have
it's
to
cool.
be like,
you just introduce it. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, in some
why.
movies it works. Obviously, like Freddy Krueger, you find out that the parents helped kill this guy, and I mean that works for that movie. But in this one, like I don't really think it's important to know. It just the movie starts, you find out what the rules are as far as this thing, and that's really all you know. I don't need a backstory and like how this thing came to be, or pass along from 5, 10, 20 people. Before that's probably gonna be the prequel of that movie. You're gonna find out like where it came from.
Yeah, they're gonna try to make some fucking like The Conjuring, man. They made the Annabelle shit.
The structure of the movie is sort of made. It's sort of built. It's built for sequels and prequels because like I said, you can. Well, this is like the form from 10 years ago or 20 years ago or how it even started, and you can jump forward like where are Jay and Paul once they get older? Do they pass it along to anybody else? Or do they get married? Do they have kids? It just there's different directions that they could take it as a quote franchise.
Yeah, but that's
I
you don't need to do that, man. Like,
yeah, I really want to see it. A flawed movie. I mean, it's not perfect. There are certain inconsistencies, lapses in logic that we talked about, but overall we dug it. So check our review if you haven't.
Still must. I mean, it's still.
Yeah, I think it's a must watch.
Yeah.
Comment, subscribe, like our video, and we'll catch you at the next one.